Oh my gosh, my wonderful students, what is going on? The exciting conclusion to lesson 2 is solving radical equations or equations with radical exponents. So 3 steps to this. These are kind of the same scenarios, like whether you have a root or an exponent. They're just written in different forms. But either way, you're going to isolate the term with the radical or the radical exponents. Then we'll raise each side to the reciprocal power from what we're looking at. And then lastly, we'll solve and we'll check for extraneous solutions. So let us jump in. Okay, so first thing we want to do, isolate the radical on this one. So I want to subtract 4 to root x is equal to negative 4. Divide by 2. Root x equals negative 2. And square root of x, to get rid of the square root, I need to square it. And really, we said the reciprocal power. You could also think of this as x to the 1/2, right? Isn't that the same thing? Equals negative 2. So we want to square both sides. Really, what's the reciprocal of 1 over 2? It's 2. It's squaring, right? So these are 2 different ways to think about it. Those are not like consecutive steps here. But either way, it's going to leave me with x on the left. And square the right side, I'm going to get 4. So I get x is equal to 4. So just make sure you check that. So let's see, when I plug that in, when I plug in 4 for x, I get the square root of 4, which is 2, times this 2 in front gets me 4, plus 4 does not get me 0. It gets me 8, actually. So we're going to cross this out. That bad boy is extraneous. So this is no solution. Extraneous. Okay, I'll go through these as well. Subtract 3. Cube root 2x plus 5 equals negative 3. The radical is by itself. I'm doing the cubed root, so I need to cube both sides. Keep in mind this is negative 3 quantity cubed. So I'm just left with 2x plus 5 equals negative 27 minus 5, 2x equals negative 32, x equals negative 16. All right, when we plug it in, I get negative 32 plus 5 is negative 27. Cubed root of negative 27 is negative 3. Plus 3 does get me 0. Awesome. Sometimes you're going to have just a root on one side and a root on the other side. They're both isolated, right? So let's go ahead and just square these. It's nice that if I square both sides, the roots are gone. I got x plus 1 equals 3x plus 1. 0 equals 2x. I think we end up getting x equals 0. Plug it back in. We end up with square root of 1 on the left, square root of 1 on the right. Obviously, those are equal, so that is a legit solution. All right, let's take a look at these last 3. These get a little trickier because they're written in a different form. But remember, this exponential term here is by itself. So let's take this entire side and raise it to the reciprocal of 3/2. That would be 2 over 3. All right, so let's do that to the other side. 8 to the 2 over 3. Now, when you have a power raised to a power, we multiply those. So you'll see this exponent here is going to be 6 over 6, or just 1. It's gone, right? So I have x minus 5, just to the first power, equals 8 to the 2/3. 8 to the 2/3. Let's think about what that really means. The denominator is your root. The numerator is your power. So I'm going to make this smaller first. Cube root of 8 is 2. Right, so this is really 2 squared, or really 4. So x minus 5 equals 4. Add 5, we get x is equal to 9. 9 minus 5 is 4. 4 cubed is 64. And then the square root of that is going to give me 8. So that works. Okay, next one. 2/3 power. I'm going to raise to the 3/2 power on each side, the reciprocal. So I'm just left with x minus 6. This is where we have a little bit more to think about. So 64 to the 3 over 2. Anytime you have an even number on the bottom, that's an even root, like a square root. So I decided to take the square root or raise both sides to the 3/2 power. Really, I'm taking 64, taking the square root, and then whatever that's equal to, I'm raising to the 3rd power, right? The second root's the square root. So now because I took the square root of, excuse me, because I took the square root of this, I need to think about plus or minus. So x minus 6 equals plus or minus, let's see, square root of 64 is 8. That to the 3rd power. So really, x minus 6 is equal to positive 8 cubed. Man, what is that? I don't even know what that is. 8 cubed, 64. We got 512. I used the calculator. So 512, adding 6, I get 518. But it's also negative 8 cubed, which will give me x minus 6 equals negative 512. Adding 6, I get x is equal to negative 506. Check those both. They work. Okay, I think I'm going to save the last one for you. Feel free to check the key, but it's 3/2 power, so it should end up being the same style as that first one. So thanks, guys. Best of luck with the practice.